Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the LC Transfer Room. You are with Dan, Colin, and Reese for the match reaction against Crystal Palace. Liverpool lost somehow 1-0. Another terrible display in front of goal from the Red Men. Almost as reminiscent as the game we played midweek against Atalanta. And right now, it's not a positive experience being a Liverpool fan and not what we expected. Thank you very much for everyone for joining us. Please put a like on the stream. Please get involved in the comments for us to give us your point of view and your input. We really want to hear it over here, and we'll try and get through as much of it as we can. But in the meantime, Colin, how are you, mate? How are you digesting the result today, my mate?
Yeah, I mean, I'm more calm now than I was at the end of that game, but yeah, just disappointed, I guess. Just upset and disappointed. We were talking before, like you could see a bad result coming from a mile away, given the midweek result, and yeah, it just is really it's really frustrating to feel like we've played so well for so much of the season and so well in games that we should be getting results in, and to not get anything out of them. So yeah, definitely upsetting.
Yeah, no, 100%. It started off not too bad, to be honest. I was kind of like, okay, we're a bit slow with the ball, we're a bit slow when we were developing it, and then all of a sudden we just started getting caught in possession, and then all of a sudden, like, I could just see the goal coming a mile off when they started passing the ball around us, and they went, I think it was 22 passes in the sequence before they scored the goal. And you could almost see that coming around. And we've played this script before multiple times this season, where Liverpool have started a game, conceded early, and got back into it, and we've lauded ourselves off that for a little while. And people have been saying it's going to catch us out one day, and I genuinely felt like today was the day that it really caught us out. Reese, your thoughts on today's game? How do you feel now you've had a couple of hours to take in the result?
Same as Colin. Obviously, I'm a lot calmer now. The Arsenal results kind of helped me be a little calmer because it's not only us that's lost today, but disappointed more than anything. But also not surprised because from that Atlanta game, the way we lost, I was a bit nervous about today's game, and I think Klopp should have changed the team because of how we performed. But then he picked the same people again, and the same thing happened. Really, we had a lot of chances and we can't seem to put the ball away. And now it's just catching up with us.
Yeah, it was, to be honest. And the one thing that really struck me, to be honest, was a number of players. Like, for example, I've really liked Curtis Jones this season, and I've liked Endo this season. I thought they've had some really good games for us. Curtis Jones has come back after an injury, and against Atalanta, he looked very off the pace, in my opinion. He looked quite slow to the ball, slow to react. He seemed to dilly-dally with the ball, which isn't like him. Something we all laud him for, to be honest, is the fact that he's a player who very rarely loses possession of the football, and that was something I noticed that he did quite a lot in the midweek game, and something he brought into this match as well. Klopp stuck with him throughout the game. Someone he didn't stick with, though, and this was an interesting topic for us to pick up on, and not to point out any particular performance, because I don't think anyone really played very well today, to be honest, across the team, but was Endo. What did you make of Endo, Colin? What was your makings of Endo's performance? Because I really don't see why we're playing him when he really does look like he's off the pace. Do you think he's still carrying that injury that he picked up before the United game, perhaps?
Yeah, that was going to be exactly what I was going to say. Is I think that there absolutely is some. It has to be some, nagging injury concern there, because he the last 3 games has looked, just totally a different self from what we had seen of him. I'm thinking like, Christmas, around Christmas time, like, was just an absolute warrior. And I just refuse to believe that people's actual level goes to hell that quickly. No. Like I don't you don't just go from, being someone who plays that well or can put in performances that well to someone who, frankly, like, I just think he has looked lost. And I would suspect that that he's having a hard time getting into positions where he's most effective, or where he has been most effective. And so that, of course, affects psychology about like what you're, feeling as though you can or can't get to a spot when you need to, to be in a passing lane to intercept or, making a tackle, on a counterattack, whatever it might be. It affects all other parts of his game. And I think I really refuse to believe that it's just something that he just, he's just not good enough and he never like, obviously he was. I just think it's this carryover, and I don't think it's not helping us at the moment at all.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. And I do like to give that piece to any player as a chance, is that they are injured and they are playing through something which might be not enough to keep them out of the team, but also at the same time, if that is the case, what I saw against Atalanta of Endo was a player who was being targeted. He's not the biggest fella on the pitch. We noticed this in the reverse fixture against Crystal Palace. I don't know if anyone recalls. He's targeted on the press. When he's got his back to goal, he's a player who they've realised if you can get to him quickly and apply the pressure, he can give the ball up. And I've noticed that was something that was happening today, and he seemed to lose possession quite regularly. He put in a good couple of tackles, but he just felt like he was being overrun. Reece, Endo, I mean, are you concerned, or do you just think that it's perhaps it's the injury? And if it is the injury, why are we still playing him when we have so many players available within the team who can play multiple different roles? McAllister could easily have played a 6, and we could have played Curtis Jones, could have played Gravenberch. There was players we could have chosen. So what's your thoughts on him?
I think he's still carrying a knock the last couple of games, but I do feel as well that we shouldn't fully be dependent on Endo. I still think long term we need a 6. Yeah, he's a short term player. He's a good player, but for me, he's a squad player. And there's some games this season where it's just been he's either been found wanting, or like I said, like what you said, they target him because they can get to him because he takes a bit too long on the ball. It's not his fault, but we shouldn't be looking at him as the main, really. And obviously we've got Besetic coming back, but I still think we need to go out and buy a 6 in the summer so we can get more control, like a Fabinho type when he was like in his prime for us. Yeah, that's in terms of Endo. He's done well, but like I said, a lot of the other players didn't really play well again today. I don't really think at the minute Curtis is up to scratch, so it's not really balancing out with McAllister and Endo. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. I did feel that's where, when I was watching the game, I felt that when we were watching this match, we conceded the goal. It was bypassing our midfield. I mean, I look back on it was too easy. I mean, the goal came from, and again, it's not on me about here because I don't think anyone played well, so it's not fair for me to point out certain players and say they were at fault for certain things. Konate's positioning was very, very poor for the Eze goal in the first place. Yeah. But what was really disappointing was the way that Curtis Jones completely left Eze unmarked, rather than he just allowed himself to get followed out towards the ball. And it just comes probably from not having that match discipline of being out for the little while that he's had. And it affected us. We conceded that goal. And in the past, we normally take that goal and be like, right now, start playing football. Let's start doing well. Let's now get our game back together. And in a funny way, I felt like that was coming. I don't know what you boys thought of after we conceded the goal. We had some really good chances. Endo hit the bar. We had, I think one was saved off the line, wasn't it, from Diaz? He had a volley which came on in, which was quite an acrobatic effort. And that was the beginning of what I felt was like a very poor afternoon of finishing. Colin, what did you make of Liverpool's chance creation in that game as a positive? Do you feel that the fact that we created so many clear-cut scoring chances was a positive, more so much than it being a negative that we didn't finish them?
It's a little, to me, they're almost inextricable. Like I think that I would be more upset if we were not creating any chances. It would be more frustrating. But the XG, the reported XG from XG Philosophy is 3.39, which is, for anybody who keeps track of that stat, fairly regularly, is a massive number. That's a massive number to have the XG be above 3, and to get no goals out of it. I think
an XG above 3 should be 5 goals effectively, shouldn't it? That's correct. The thing.
I mean, there have been 5-goal games where the XG this year is
It's less.
below, like at or below 2. You
Yeah.
know, it's very, very difficult for me to separate my feelings about them. The chances are there. We should be converting them, and we're not. And um, some of them are, unbelievable saves, or goal line or clearances, them sticking a foot in the last second, ricocheting it off the underside of the bar and it not hitting a guy and going in. Yeah, I think we are getting unlucky to an extent. But with an XG of 3, that's essentially what that's saying is that there are multiple clear-cut chances that should be an absolute goal. And we've posted zeros on multiple occasions. I think you mentioned that the last 2 games it's like above 5.
Yeah.
It's both, encouraging that we're doing the right thing by creating the chances, but also I think creates a longer term problem of we don't necessarily have people who at the moment are converting those chances, and that is of deep concern.
Definitely. I mean, he did good. The one thing that Andy Robertson did do, and this is where I have to say Andy Robertson was absolutely fantastic. To be honest, I would say of all the players who went on that pitch today, was the one who can walk away knowing that he put everything out there that he possibly could. The goal line clearance absolutely saved Virgil's blushes, and the many memes that would have followed had his slip caused us to concede another goal. And I can only thank him enough for finally us being on the positive end of a goal line clearance, because it feels like it always seems to be the other way around. Reese, Andy Robertson back in the team didn't have the greatest of performances in some of the run-up games. What did you make of his performance today, mate?
I thought he was decent, not great, but not terrible. Obviously, he saved Virgil, and he saved us from the goal line clearance. But yeah, I think it's like an average game. So it was decent defensively, not much offering going forward, but no one offered much going forward. There's a lot of huffing and puffing, and the striker's not really putting a chance away. But yeah, Robinson, I'll say, the average game for me, personally.
Yeah, I felt a little bit. I don't know. I thought he was one of our more positive outlets when it came to it. We really struggled to break down Crystal Palace as a unit, to be honest with you, and it does beg a particular question as to whether or not the style of football that we've been playing this season, teams have maybe now, as we come towards the end of the season, have sussed us out a little bit. I don't know what you feel of it as to whether or not. We've noticed the Atalanta game, the Manchester United game, and today's game. There's 3 games on the bounce in which our style of play has led us to create chances. However, we've not won the games. So do you feel that at the moment we're just going through a very poor form of attackers when it comes to themselves in front of goal? Or is it just the fact that maybe teams have come in a little bit wise of us? Colin, what's your makeup? But do you think opposition teams are now getting wise to the way that we're playing? Or do you think it's just we've just been unlucky? That's as it stands in the data, and it's a bit wishy-washy. Do you think that with the chances we've created on another day, we're in a different parallel universe, and this is all, well, it doesn't matter because we scored goals?
I think that those are interrelated. I think that they are wise to the consistent patterns of attack that we have. Like what Diaz does is both very effective and also somewhat predictable. He's not going to do much else outside of exactly what it is he's great at. Similarly, I think with Mo Salah, which is like a very, is very good with his skill set, but is not unpredictable. So I think that teams have gotten wise to it, and then that forces you to try things that you wouldn't always do. I think we see that on multiple occasions throughout the past couple of months, where there are games where we turn up and we look like we're only trying to score goals from outside the box. Like we're just trying to Sabasa had one early in the season that was outside the box, an absolute rifle. It looks like we're similarly. Trent had one as well. I think that one against Fulham. But it looks like we're trying to score that goal every time, and that's not normally that's not. I would say not a normal pattern for us to score, and that is something that has kind of happens in more unsettled situations where the ball's bouncing around and it just lands at the. But it looks like I think when teams get smart to what we're doing, we settle for trying to just hit one from deep, and they end up halfway up the cop or out of the stadium even. So I think teams getting smart to us leads to bad luck because we're trying to be in situations that we're not fully comfortable with, or things that are not as, or they should be practiced, but things that are less practiced. I guess I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was something which is interesting you said about those taking chances from outside of the box. It was noted the season past that Liverpool were known to be, followed data and followed XG quite heavily. And the more shots you take inside the box, the higher the chances of they go in. And then earlier on in the season, we brought in a number of players who were capable of hitting them from outside of the box, which is something that in our midfield, we never really did. We never even tried. We have players who never even gave it a go. I mean, every footballer who's still a player, and when they see a bit of space open in front of them, the first instinct would be I'll have a go. I'll hit one. I fancy myself to score from this distance. And we've noticed it. McAllister against Fulham, McAllister against Sheffield United. McAllister scored a number of goals from outside the box. Dominic Szoboszlai against Aston Villa. So we've been more open to taking these chances from outside of the box, which is something that we never really had in our game. And we've scored a lot more goals and created a lot more goals from our midfield. So they're all positives. Going up front, though, and this is where my real concern comes to, I'm going to go to you with it, Reese. When was the last time Mohamed Salah was that ineffective in a football match?
I think he's been out of form for a little while now. Even though he's been doing okay, I think you've got to remember when he was African Cup of Nations, everyone thought Liverpool was going to fall off a lot of rival teams, but we didn't. Other players came in. Joe was up front. I think Conor Bradley first come in when Trent got injured. Since he's come back in, we've done okay, but I think too much of our play goes through Salah, and then Nunes is up front, but it's like Salah's up front, and I think they kind of clash. They don't really play well together. That's me personally.
Yeah, I was really, really disappointed with him because I've seen him play poor games. The Everton game actually rings a bell where he was absolutely terrible throughout the whole match, but he showed that ability of what world-class players could do, which is still scored both goals and won us the game. That was something that he was capable of doing. But today, I was really worried. And it's the first time I've ever been worried about Mo Salah based on what I'm seeing. He's had some poor games. You're absolutely right, Reese. And I'm happy to give that to any player who's come back from the injuries and played a lot of football. And the last time he played well for us was against Brentford when he came on for that second half kind of performance, and he played fantastically. But we haven't seen it since, and it's starting to worry me because this is one of our most experienced footballers, someone who's won the Premier League for us, someone who we can or should be able to rely on, and we're not seeing it. Colin, Mo Salah, are you concerned? Do you think this is something you can turn around? Do you think it's momentary blip, or do you think perhaps maybe this is here to stay?
This is with him. I am more concerned about kind of a long-term dip in form. I think we've covered this on this channel a lot. I've spoken about it on, I'm sure you guys have on multiple streams. I think this might be the time if there's an offer there to cash in.
Yeah.
I just don't know that his open play goals over the last 25 matches is very poor. To me, this looks more like a long-term kind of he's losing some of the bits of magic that he had, some of the speed, some of the touch, rather than just a momentary dip in his form. I could probably I could probably be talked out of that. I mean, I think he's been especially bad since his injury and since he declined going to that international break. But it just looks like it's starting to wear on him a bit. And there are others that look like that this season is really wearing on them. I think so. I saw someone in the comments say Konate. Konate has looked abysmal the last 2 games.
I'm just going to bring on to Kata. It's my next point, Cole. Thank you very much for bringing that into.
Like a shadow of himself, truly.
Yeah. It really is well worth bringing in, and that's something I just want to just go on to. But I want to obviously get involved in some of the chatting, some really good messages coming through, and I really do appreciate you being involved, guys. Please bring them on. Steve, you'll never walk alone. Why Klopp keep playing Salah when he's not 100% fit and injury free? I'll put my opinion to it, and obviously it may well not be correct. It can be very difficult to say no to a player like Mohamed Salah, who, if he comes to you and says he's fit, he's ready to play, it's very hard to say no to him. I don't think Salah is playing unless he's saying that he's capable of playing. Right now, it becomes a difficulty of what message does it send to Mo Salah now at the end of the season if he was not to play him or choose to play him between now, the Atalanta game, the Fulham game next weekend. Even though his performances are really poor, he will always be able to rely on the fact, well, I can turn it round. You know what I'm capable of doing. I can win a game on my own. I can score a hat-trick. I can score 2 goals. I can do all these things. I can get 3 assists. This is what Mo Salah has in the bank in credit. So that, for me, might be the reason as to why Mo Salah is always still going to be the first name on the team sheet. Some of these also put it, and this is an interesting. This was the question, which was, why would you sell your top goal scorer? The reason why you might sell your top goal scorer this season, and again, this is my opinion, I'll just ask Reece and Cole what if their opinion is to sell him, which I think Cole's sort of given away. There is a chance there. Right now, we're looking at Mo Salah at the age of 32, goes on 33 next year, I believe. He has had his first ever long-term injury. He's never had any more other than the arm, which wasn't obviously a muscular injury. And we're seeing a player who we have value for. How long the Saudi project lasts, we don't know. We've seen the Chinese project, we've seen the American project, we've seen a number of different projects in which players have gone on for big money to different places. This could well be an opportunity for the club to do exactly what FSG is all about, which is the money ball system, that they buy a player, get all of the quality and all of the content out of them, and then sell them for a good value price. This would be the money ball system to an absolute T. If that they could then sell a player, get all of what they've got from him, and then sell him for a huge profit, and then be able to reinvest that within the team. It could well be that now is the time to do it, especially with us bringing in a new manager who could well bring a whole new way of playing football that might not suit Mo Salah. Reece, your opinions on Mo Salah? If a deal comes on the table from Saudi Arabia in the summer, he has 1 year left on his deal. Are you taking the money or are you sticking?
It's a possibility, definitely. I think I said before in previous streams we've done, I said either this year or next year, but you could see that some of his attributes, this has not just happened just now. Obviously, he's still a phenomenal player. Of course he is, but he's never had an injury for us before, and then he's had the injury. You can see he's not as quick, or certain things is not as sharp as they usually are. If we got a decent offer, 80 upwards, I would. So then we could use that because we actually have a good squad here, and then we can just get in maybe like a younger replacement.
Definitely. Cole, your opinion on Mo Salah if a deal comes available from Saudi? Because I'm of the opinion only 2 things can happen this season. Mo Salah signs a new deal or Salah gets sold. He doesn't stay for his final year and then goes for a free. That would be terrible, terrible business from the club.
I would have thought that is a real possibility had the current staff be in place. Now with Michael Edwards being back again, there is not a shot in the world that we let him run down that contract.
No,
not a shot. And given that if he is getting a new contract, I suspect that he's not going to be taking a pay cut. I think at least he would be he would expect more money on his contract. I don't think Liverpool would want to do that. I think they would be really hesitant to even give him the same amount of money.
Yeah, I agree.
So that leads to me the only solution that I see reasonable, which is if there's an offer for last summer we talked about it. It was like every stream we talked about it constantly, and we were like $200 million, like anything approaching 100 million pounds is you take their money and you shake their hand and you say thank you very much, and you keep it moving immediately. You get in a Bakayoko, or you get in Williams from
Nico Williams from PSV. From Athletic Club.
Yes. So I think any of the there are young players with 50 million or under clauses, or can be purchased for around there, that if that spot is opening up in our team with a new manager, they will jump at that. And as well, you'll be paying them in wages significantly less money.
5 times less. They'll be on 70, 80,000 pounds compared to 350.
If they're lucky, they'd be on 80.
Yeah.
I think, reasonably, they might be closer to, 45, 50. I can't see a world where a Michael Edwards run transfer department or transfer policy has any other solution for the Mo Salah question other than see if you can get as much money as possible for him.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, absolutely, Colin. I completely agree with you when it comes to the deal that has to be on the table. I've been of the opinion that only 2 possible outcomes can happen come this summer. Either Mo Salah signs a new contract for 2 years, which means we get 1 more year of him to see as to what we're, on a rolling basis. I agree with someone's put a comment on here that Salah could go to Saudi when he's 40. He absolutely could. However, I don't need a 35-year-old, 36-year-old Mo Salah on massive wages who's not putting in the numbers. And you've hit the nail on the head, and this is something which maybe some people don't realise. Maybe they don't look at it this way, or maybe looked at it this way.
Steve has not watched Moneyball. I guarantee you Steve has not watched Moneyball. I need Steve in the comments. Go watch Moneyball. Come back later. We can talk.
Yeah. So when we put Salah into the team and we're putting a new deal on for him, or any player for that matter, the deal we're putting on is what he's going to do, not what he has done. We can't be giving him £350,000 if he is not going to be putting up the numbers that he has been putting when he was earning £350,000. That's how it works. This isn't legacy contracts. This isn't, oh, well done, thanks very much for all the memories. We paid you for that. That's what you got the money for before. And right now, Mo Salah's form, and sometimes as well, and this is something which I might have an opinion on. I may be wrong. I may well be wrong. But sometimes it's better to say goodbye when they're at the peak rather than wait until they get past it, rather than have the memory of, he was brilliant for 7 seasons. And then we always remember that one season where it was like, but you remember how it finished. And it can sometimes just, exactly. Yeah, Fabinho, for God's sakes. I don't think many people saw that coming, but someone in the data department should have at least seen that was on the horizon. So, Mo Salah, I would be all of the opinions that if a deal was available for him, he either has to take a new contract or he needs to leave on a fee, because that's just the way that it works, especially with this club. Anyway, right, gentlemen, good comments here. I'm reading on here. Salah VED signed 2-year deals. TAA signs a 4-year deal. TAA, absolutely. Trent, give me 4 years.
Edwards is not going to give Salah a 2-year deal.
No. I mean, but the reason for a 2-year is when they're on the last year of a 2-year, it allows us to protect the value within them. So it gives us that 1 extra year. So when I say a 2-year extension, it will be this year and an extra year on top. Virgil van Dijk, I think this is where Edwards absolutely does put a deal on the table for Van Dijk, because he is playing at the very peak. There is no reason in the world to go, Let's go and find the next one when we've already got the one in the team. It'll cost a lot less to keep the one we have in the team than it will be to try and find the next one. So Van Dijk, I think he gets the deal. I don't think there's an issue there. Trent,
I agree. Yeah.
I think they get the deal done. I don't think there's an issue with him. Steve, completely agree with you on those points. Absolutely. Paul doesn't think we'll get 100 million for him now. I'm not so sure. I think this is the jewel in the crown for Saudi Arabia. And bringing in a player like Mo Salah and the opportunity to have him available, I think they will pay the money. And what is positive with the Saudi deals is money up front. There's no installments. It all comes in one big go. And I'm all for if it does come around. Right. So just coming up to the last section. Poor performance really for us, not great. However, some possible positivity for us to go over. James, LFC 86, Arsenal getting beat today keeps us in the title race. If Arsenal won today, yes, it would be over. Arsenal fans, Arsenal social media, come here. I'll make you feel better. It's okay. It's okay. It hurts. We know. We've been there against City. You're not alone. Come join us. Colin, Arsenal getting beat today by the mighty European Cup winning Aston Villa, fully rested. Tell me if this is the beginning of a door opening. The door's not shut in Liverpool's title hopes, or is it still slightly ajar?
You know what I'm thinking of is have you seen that Simpsons meme where it's like he kicks the person out the door and then he shows up behind him? It's
funny.
But it's City shows up behind them. It's like Arsenal kick us out, and then it's City shows up behind them. That's what I've been thinking about. Yeah, I mean, it opens the door for us to have a race with them. I hate City so much. I hate them with.
Tell us how you feel, please, Colin. Come on.
With every fiber of my being. My brother,
get it out.
My brother-in-law has become a City fan in the last 2 years, and he texts me, and I don't want to talk to him about it because he was not, he wasn't there when we were all suffering. He just like jumped on and was like, we win all the time, and I'm like, suck it.
When's their court case coming?
God, not soon enough.
You're not going to like my view on the court case. I don't think they're going to get any charges. I think they're going to get away with it.
Listen,
what's in case?
When you can bankroll $50 million worth of lawyers every year to just push it off and push it off and push it off. Like
Everton and Nottingham Forest are getting sanctions and punishment before them. And they haven't got 115 charges. It doesn't make no sense.
You see, the thing is that's the difference, though, isn't it, Reece? The thing is that the Premier League going to be showed it with Lionel Hutz as the solicitors firm. It's going to be like, Montgomery Burns, his full like illegal squadron. They'll get them all in there. Yeah. Carry on, Carl, please. We're just trying to make ourselves feel better down here at the LC transfer room. Join us. It's all good.
Yeah. The Arsenal social media support is more fervent.
In meltdown.
More fervent, but they're more fervent than the City. Well, it's because there are no City fans. They don't exist. They're bots. But yeah, I mean, I guess it does open the door. It just like also sucks because we should have had at least 2 goals, 2 clear goals against.
At least,
I guess. Although, if that happens, I don't know. Do Arsenal lose? Probably not. Like
it's all connected. It's all connected. This is the way I see it.
They saw the Liverpool score before they went out, and they were like, "We're good. We got this." And Villa were like, "No chance, friends."
The mentality changed. Yeah. Reece, is the door still open? Do Liverpool turn it around against Fulham next weekend?
They can win against Fulham, but like I said, the door. It's slightly open, but for me, it's City's to lose. For me, Arsenal wasn't the team I was worried about, even though they're a good team. I was worried. How I saw it is Liverpool and Arsenal had to stay in front of City. You don't let City go in front at this stage of the season because you usually know what happens. So it's theirs to lose. But like I said, I don't see it right now. But if they do, I'm like I said, I'm not even sure. Even though I want us to win against Fulham, how we're playing right now, I'm not sure where our next win's coming from because we got to change the team for me. Some players got to get dropped and some other guys got to get given a chance.
Yeah,
I don't see Klopp changing it, because he didn't change it. He just kept the same team and gave them more of a chance, and they keep letting them down. Some of them this season when they haven't performed. So I'm not sure where our next win's coming from, but there's a small chance. But City's title to lose right now.
yeah, and that is always the case. And a double treble is on the cards for Man
Oh,
City.
don't say that. I wasn't even thinking about that.
I'm just saying, there's a double
Oh.
treble on the cards here for Man City, and let's get it straight. What's the point anymore? If that's what happened, what's the point? It's done.
If that happens, I'm gonna have to go on a vacation. You don't want to see me for a little while, a few months. I'll appear after.
Hey, listen, I'm on the lookout for new sports for me to go and watch, and I'm really going to get involved in sailing, to be honest with you, and get involved in watching that. But yeah, one final point, because I said we were going to come on to it, and this is worth saying, is Cole, you're about to give your opinions on Ibrahima Konate, and I think me and you are on the same page. Tell me about what you're seeing from Konate recently since he's returned. What's going on? Like, he seems terrible.
Yeah, he's like he's deeply out of position. I don't know if it's just like lack of rhythm, that he hasn't, he wasn't in that consistency, but he has come back, and definitely on at least one of the goals from Atalanta. I can't remember which goal it was. I was disgusted watching that game, so I am trying to block that out. And then the goal today, like he's not marking anyone. He's not marking anyone. He's not in a passing lane. They're just sitting off of him. Curtis Jones doesn't track the runner, yes, but Ibrahima Konate is both not close enough to the man with the ball to stop it at its source. He's not deep enough to be marking a man, and also there's no front post like runner that he's cutting off there.
Yeah.
So he's doing none of the three functions that he theoretically should be doing when in that position with the ball where it is. And it's like just leaking goals. Not to mention, I think on the ball in possession, it's not just him. It would be unfair to say that it's only him, but it is him included, which is we look horrific in possession.
Yeah.
And trying to go from a first phase to the middle, we look absolutely like we have no ideas about what we want. I don't think maybe for Wednesday, maybe for that midweek game against Atalanta, maybe Quansah plays, but I don't think like permanently. I don't think that's, unless he is carrying an injury, that's to me not something that is going to happen. But it's concerning. He does not look like himself, and I'm a fervent supporter of his. I think when he's on, he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's just looked like he's standing in no man's land on multiple occasions.
Reese, I touted with the potential employment of Ruben Amorim into the Liverpool management, and we play potentially a three at the back, in which Ibrahima Konate would play the right centre-back role. Would you agree with that's where you would think they would play in the team?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Now, I was called a madman, a lunatic, insane, for even considering as to whether or not selling Ibrahima Konate this summer would not be the craziest of ideas based on his injury record and the fact that we'll need to rely on a player to be consistent and to be consistently available. What have you made of Konate's recent performances since he's come back from the injury? Because I've not been impressed at all.
I haven't been impressed, but he don't look fit to me. He's still rusty. He has just come back. How many games? He hasn't been playing too many games. It's been Quansah. He's been playing quite. Yeah, so I don't think he's been fit. But like I said, he's not the only one. There's a lot of players who haven't really played well. This game during the week, I would play Quansah. For me, that's why I'll start Quansah in that game, and then obviously for the weekend, and then we'll see you go from there. But yeah, he hasn't been his usual self. But I do think he's not fit. I think there's a few players. Trent looked quite rusty today coming back. He looked off the pace as well. But yeah.
He absolutely did. I think Trent did look a bit, and there was a few times but he came into the team and you just saw what he was capable of bringing.
No, I can see the change 100%. I can see what he offered 100%. I was just saying he just looks a bit rusty, Trent.
No, absolutely.
He was trying to make things happen, but yeah.
No, that was it. He was trying to make things happen. He got caught a bit in possession. We were playing that risky bit of football. I think McAllister nearly got caught with one as well, to be honest with you. And he did well to kind of recover from that one. It was something for me going forward into next week's game. We've talked about Kwanzaa potentially coming in there for Kanate. For me, I'm fine with that one. If he is carrying an injury or he's still not fully fit, we should be playing Kwanzaa because defensively, respectfully, so far this season, I've not seen a great deal of difference between the two of them in terms of quality, other than the Man United chance, which was he made a mistake. It happens. On another day, Fernandes doesn't put the ball in the net. But I've seen 34, 35-year-old experienced international centre-backs play hospital passes like that and get punished for it. So, it's a young player, made a young mistake, but it's a mistake that players can make anyway. Is there any other changes that we're looking forward to the game in midweek? What would be your lineup, Reese, going into that game? Who would you play and who would you not play? Seeing as we have to get 3 clear goals to go to extra time.
I would have Alisson in goal. I might play Simicast. I might actually play Simicast. Because how I see it, some games, what we've got to lose, you've got to try some of the players now. Because some players, I know Klopp's probably going to still go with Robinson, and I'll definitely pick Robinson for Fulham, but maybe Simicast. But right back, I would have said Bradley, but Bradley's injured. So I would have Gomez at right back, Kwanzaa, and then I would have Van Dijk in the middle. I don't want to put him in the 6, but I'm going to go McAllister in the 6. And I would have Szoboszlai. And I would actually have Trent in midfield. I know we're not going to put Trent in midfield, but I want Trent in midfield. I think we just got to go for the rest of the games this season. And then up front, I would have Elliott on the right. I would have Gakpo on the left. And I would have Jar up front. I think the front 3 need to be dropped. Personally, the 3 that I've been playing, Diaz, Salah, and Nunes, the last couple of games. So for that game, that's what I would do. I know Klopp's not going to do that. He won't make too much change, but that's what I'll drop quite a few players.
Interesting points. Interesting. Colin, are you going as left field as that, or are you going with the strongest possible outline on paper?
I think I would go with the strongest attacking that I could go with.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I would. I think I start Trent at right back. I think you play McAllister, Szoboszlai. You probably McAllister, Szoboszlai. I'd say Elliott as the 3 midfielders, and then I think you go Mo. You go Mo, Cody, and Diogo Jota as the top 3. I think Robertson starts. I think that it will be, I think especially the first half, it will be, we're going to throw the kitchen sink at it, and if we can get one, we keep going. If we can't get any, or we give up one, then you can rotate, get people out who need the rest, get other people in, throw younger kids on, or whatever it is. You don't have to. I don't think the solution is start an okay lineup, see if they can nick one, and if they can, then we put the attacking, start them from the beginning, try to get a clear goal, and keep pushing from there. If you can get 2 before the first half, it's totally on. So, I'm thinking strong attacking. I'm not leaving people back. You've got nothing to lose. At least go for it. No,
100%. Against that very big Atalanta team, physically big. I do disagree with someone saying Harvey deserves a start. I think he does. I think Harvey Elliott's a great player. I just don't feel in a game where they're going to play man for man and they're very physical, we need the big lads. We need the strong ones on there. With respect to Harvey Elliott, he looked really poor at Anfield against Atalanta when he started. Didn't think he played well at all, but I think that was because it just didn't suit him as a player. For me, Cody Gakpo, the last couple of games against Atalanta was our best player, came on today, was our best substitute. He has to get a start and put him in his left wing position. That's where he likes to play. That's where he's asked to play. And every time he's come on and played in that position these last 2 games, I thought he's been the most effective. He's trying to put on a show. Jota in the middle, that's hard for me because I still back Nunes. I still think that for me, I'm going to have to start Nunes and have Jota still as an impact. I've always believed that Jota is a better player coming off the bench because he's a player who seems to understand the game and he understands that when the situations have played out in front of him, he's capable of taking advantage of it. So for me, Jota would be my bench option. I'd still play Mo Salah. On the basis that it's Mo Salah, and the only way to try and get something out of him and get something going will be to play him into form. And this is an opportunity to try and play him into form and to give him an opportunity to score a goal. Midfield ways, I'd have Szoboszlai and McAllister as a 6. I'm unlike other people, I think McAllister is a fantastic number 6 because of the forward output that he's capable of doing and the fact that we have other players who can cover in behind him. I wouldn't play Curtis Jones on the left-hand side. I've not been filled with confidence in him, to be totally honest with you, in the last couple of games. Maybe I go with someone like a Gravenberch, perhaps. I'm not completely convinced on my left centre midfielder as it stands right now as to who I bring in. And then across the back, for me, Trent. I'd play Trent just because we have to. What are we waiting for? We need the players who have the ability to affect games. He can do that. He can invert into the midfield to help cover. Then it asks the question, if we are going to invert, we're going to ask a lot of whoever plays next to him. So it's either going to be a Konate, Kwanzaa. I'm not against either. I'm happy with either of them. And I think Kwanzaa may benefit from the opportunity to sort of make amends for obviously the game after Man United. He'll probably want to get back out on the pitch and do something with them. So I would give Kwanzaa the opportunity. Van Dijk speaks for himself, and Andy Robertson, just because I thought Tsimikas, again, nothing. I think I completely agree with you, Reece. Sometimes you have to give other players a chance, but Tsimikas looked completely lost when he played at Anfield. He really did. I was really shocked at how poor he was for us, and it was a real shame because I know there's a player in there. I'm just now convinced I don't think he's ever going to be our standard. And then Alisson plays every game between now and the end of the season, and that's straightforward enough for me, to be honest. I think we've got a chance. I always think we have a chance. If any team can do it, any team can make something happen out of nothing or make you believe, then I don't know what the team can in a Jurgen Klopp Liverpool team. 4 days to make it happen. The Premier League isn't over, but the door is pretty much closed. Let's see what happens next week. Carl, Reece, thank you very, very much for coming on, boys. I really do appreciate it. Everyone who's been in the chat, really appreciate it. Thank you. Those of you who have come across this video, I hope you've enjoyed what you've watched. If you have, please give us a like, put a subscribe on there, and get involved in the chat. You're more than welcome. We'll try and get through as much of the conversation we can for you. And until tomorrow, 7:30, where the boys will be back on discussing probably the weekend, things going forward and any other news in the game. We will catch you then. Until next time, take care. See you later. Bye-bye.